In this video, we'll be showing the proper removal procedure of the cutting disc as well as the cutting blades. This is a Ciora, but the same general practices apply across all the Husqvarna models. To access the cutting disc bolt, you'll have to first remove this protective cover. It should require about 1/8 of a turn and then pop out, and you'll have access to the cutting disc bolt. You may have to hold the back of the disc and loosen the bolt, and then you should be able to turn the bolt out by hand from here. Now there are 2 sets of threads that you'll see here shortly, so you should feel it loosen without falling out completely, and then you should be able to remove the cutting disc. Now there are threads on the cutting disc motor as well as on the bearing, so that bolt shouldn't just fall out unless it's backed all the way out. Now we will show the procedure to swap the blades. This is the low cut disc, this is the mid cut disc, but the concepts are the same. On the low cut disc, you will have to remove this top cover completely. On the mid cut disc, you do have access to the blade screws through these holes, but it may be easier just to remove it completely. Remove the bolt all the way from the bearing. And this skid plate will then be able to be removed. You will have access to all 5 blades. Now the screws and the blades are wear items and should be replaced every time you remove the blades. So just with a Phillips screwdriver, remove the blade, throw the screw and the blade away, replace with a new screw and blade. Make sure that 2 blades are not sticking together. The oil on the blades can make them stick together, and then you will get a cutting motor imbalance error. There isn't a published torque spec, but you do want these pretty tight. You do want probably until you feel a little resistance, and then another 1/4 turn or so. Repeat the procedure for all 5 blades. Place the skid plate back on. Thread the bolt through the bearing. Until you can feel it go up and down, and then you're ready to place the cutting disc assembly back on. To reattach the cutting disc, the torque spec is very important, so make sure that you have a 1/4 inch torque wrench. First, verify that the gasket on this bolt cover is in good shape, so no water or grass can access the bolt. Line up the cutting disc with the cutting disc motor and hand tighten the bolt. The torque spec is very important. Too much torque and you could damage the cutting disc motor. Too loose and obviously the disc will fall off over time. The torque spec on a Ciora for the cutting disc bolt is 8 Newton meters, so my torque wrench is set to that. That's 5.9 foot-pounds and 70.8 inch-pounds. The spec on a 580 and the other models is 6 Newton meters, but this is a Ciora, so it's set to 8. You may have to hold the rear of the disc and tighten it to 8. Line up the bolt cover and give that about 1/8 of a turn, and now the cutting disc is reattached.